Today I will shed some light on a very basic but crucial rule in filmmaking, the 180-degree rule, not to be confused with the 180-degree shutter rule, which is a completely different thing that I also covered in my video about the exposure triangle. In today's video I will explain to you how to apply this rule, as well as different ways and reasons to break the rule, but most importantly, it will help you understand the difference between objective and subjective framing, which is a very important thing in filmmaking. We've got a lot to cover, so let's get to it. Basically, when you film a scene with multiple subjects or a moving subject, you have to decide from which side you're going to film them. And you cannot cross this side without disorienting the audience, unless you do it in a very specific way, which I will cover shortly. So let's say you have a scene with multiple subjects, like a conversation between two people, for example. Now you can imagine a line going between them that extends all the way to the infinity. That line is called the looking axis, even if the characters are not looking at one another. You now have to decide on which side of the line you're going to film, and you will have to stay there for the duration of the scene. If you cross that line, it will change the spatial relationship between the subjects in the frame and reverse their looking direction. In another example, if you have a moving subject, you will have to imagine a line along the direction that they're moving in. That line is called the moving axis. Once again, you will have to decide on which side of the line you're going to stay during filming, because by crossing the line, it will appear like your subject is moving in the opposite direction. It is possible to have a looking axis and a moving axis in the same scene. Just think of two people walking next to one another while having a conversation. In this case, you will have to pick the most important axis. In most cases, the looking axis is the most important one, but not always. In a car chase, for example, the moving axis is almost always the most important one. If you have 3 or more people in a scene, there can be multiple looking axes, and if they're moving as well, it can be pretty complex, so it is crucial to plan your shots ahead of time. Now luckily, we have seen so many videos and films that we naturally tend to not break the 180-degree rule. Most people, even not filmmakers, are aware of the rule to some degree and tend to stick to it, even if they don't do it consciously. You can clearly see it in YouTube Shorts when people create sketches where they play two characters. They either flip the shots or physically change their position. There are different ways to break the 180-degree rule. The first one is the simplest. Just break the rule, just cross the line. First film a couple of shots on one side of the line, then cross it and film a couple of shots on the other side. The most important thing to consider with this method, however, that this will disorient your audience. So if this is your goal, or to create chaos in your scene, do it this way. Another way to go about it is to film on the axis itself. So first you film on one side of the line, then you film on the line itself, and then you cross to the other side. In most cases, that in-between step will be enough to not be disorienting. Another way to do it, which is the best one in my opinion, and will result in not disorienting the audience at all, is by doing it in a continuous shot by moving the camera. So you start the shot on one side of the line, and with camera movement you move to the other side. And now you can stay on the other side for the duration of the scene, and the audience will not be disoriented because they saw the transition happen. Which way you break the 180-degree rule will depend on your storytelling. You first need a reason to break the rule in the first place, and then you will need a reason to break it in that specific way. It is a good practice in general to always have a reason for something you do or don't do in filmmaking. Now we get to the most overlooked aspect of this rule. I think not enough people talk about it or are even aware of it. Let me give you an example before I explain what it is. Here is a shot of two people. And here is another shot of the same two people. These two shots are of the same subject, however they convey a very different feeling. Now let's look at the axes of both shots. In the first shot the axis is parallel with the camera, and on the second shot the camera is almost on the axis itself. The closer the camera is to facing the axis, the more subjective and engaging the framing, and the further away the camera is from facing the axis, the more objective the framing. In the first shot, we are looking at two people from a neutral perspective. We are not connected or engaged with them. The framing is objective. In the second shot, we're almost looking from a point of view perspective of one character into the eyes and soul of the other character. We can see their facial expressions, etc. This is such a crucial concept to understand because it will give you infinite storytelling possibilities. Let me give you an example. Let's once again say that two people are having a conversation. We filmed them in both matching over the shoulders. Over the shoulder is a subjective shot type because it is very close to facing the axis. Now let's say one of the people in the conversation tells a lie. We can show that by showing him in a single from a more objective shot type. Now the audience might not know exactly what happened, but they will definitely feel something is different, because it is. We went from matching over the shoulders to a shot from the side. That in itself is a powerful storytelling tool as well. Just introducing a different type of angle in a scene full of matching angles will make the different angles stand out a lot. This was just one example of using objective and subjective framing as a storytelling tool. I hope you get the idea and learned something new. If you enjoyed the video, consider subscribing and leave a thumbs up. Till next time.